Have you ever wondered why the pyramids of Giza are perfectly aligned with three specific stars in the sky? Coincidence? I don't think so. What if I told you that the ancient Egyptians didn't build the pyramids just as tombs, but as a gigantic star map pointing directly to the birthplace of their gods? Prepare yourself, because what you are about to discover will blow your mind. The history you were taught in school is a convenient lie, and the truth is literally written in the stars. We are talking about the Orion constellation, the celestial hunter that dominates the night sky. But for the ancient Egyptians, Orion wasn't just a beautiful cluster of stars. Orion was Osiris, the supreme god, the lord of the afterlife, the ruler who came from the stars to civilize humanity. And here is the detail that will keep you awake at night. The three pyramids of Giza, built more than 4,500 years ago, exactly mirror the position of the three stars of Orion's belt. We are talking about Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Three monumental structures, each weighing millions of tons, aligned with impossible astronomical precision for a civilization that supposedly had barely mastered the wheel. But wait, it gets better. The Nile River, the vital artery of Egypt, runs parallel to the Giza complex, exactly as the Milky Way runs parallel to Orion's belt in the sky. The Egyptians weren't just building monuments, they were recreating the cosmos on Earth. They were building a portal, a map, a message for someone or something that would come from Orion. The question no one wants to ask is, why Orion? Why this millennial obsession with these three specific stars? The official answer is ridiculous. They will say it is mythology, religious symbolism, pure architectural coincidence. But the facts tell a very different story, a story of contact. You need to understand one crucial thing here. The alignment of the pyramids with Orion is not just visual, it is mathematical. Robert Bauval, a Belgian engineer and researcher, discovered in 1983 what became known as the ORION correlation theory. He demonstrated that the three pyramids correspond in size and position to the three belt stars, and furthermore, the relative position of the pyramids coincides exactly with the position of the stars in the night sky of 10,500 years before Christ. Did you catch that? 10,500 years before Christ. That is 3,000 years before the official construction of the pyramids according to conventional Egyptology. Orthodox archaeologists have a heart attack every time you mention that date because it completely destroys the accepted chronology of human civilization. If the pyramids were aligned to reflect the sky of 10,500 years before Christ, then someone at that time already possessed advanced astronomical knowledge, sophisticated mathematics, and planning capability that would span millennia. We're talking about a time that official science insists on calling the Stone Age, when our ancestors were supposedly just starting to plant seeds and domesticate animals. But here is the inconvenient truth. Someone was looking at Orion 12,000 years ago and planning monumental constructions that would only be erected thousands of years later. Now let's dive even deeper into this cosmic rabbit hole. The pyramids of Giza are not the only Egyptian monuments aligned with Orion, far from it. The Temple of Karnak, one of the most impressive religious structures ever built, has a main axis that points directly to the rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the sky, which the Egyptians associated with the goddess Isis, the wife of Osiris. Sirius is part of the same stellar complex as Orion in Egyptian mythology. Are you starting to see the pattern? Every major temple, every sacred structure, every monument of cosmic importance in ancient Egypt was pointing to the sky, to specific constellations, to stellar coordinates. But here is where things get truly insane. Inside the Great Pyramid of Khufu, there are four narrow tunnels called shafts, or ventilation ducts by conventional science. Ventilation? Seriously? These tunnels were built with surgical precision, cutting through tons of limestone and granite, ascending at specific angles through the bowels of the pyramid. And where do these tunnels point? Directly to stars. The northern shaft of the King's Chamber points to Alpha Draconis, the pole star of the time. The southern shaft points to, guess what, the stars of Orion's belt. The southern shaft of the Queen's Chamber points to Sirius. Can you grasp the magnitude of this? We are not talking about vague or approximate alignments. We are talking about tunnels built inside an artificial stone mountain, each pointing with laser precision to specific stars. And the official explanation? Ventilation. Ventilation tunnels that ventilate nothing, that end in sealed stone doors, that were designed with perfect astronomical angles. The arrogance of traditional science in ignoring the obvious is almost comical, if it weren't tragic. Let's talk about mathematics now, because numbers don't lie. The base of the Great Pyramid measures 230 meters on each side. The original height was 146 meters. The ratio between the perimeter of the base and the height is exactly 2 pi, the fundamental mathematical constant that defines the relationship between the diameter and the circumference of a circle. The Egyptians officially did not know pi with this precision. Incidentally, the Greeks would only formalize pi 2,000 years later. So how in the world does a pyramid built by a supposedly primitive civilization incorporate universal mathematical constants into its structure? And there is more. If you multiply the height of the pyramid by 1 billion, you get the approximate distance between the Earth and the Sun. Coincidence? The mathematical chances of this being accidental are astronomically small. The Great Pyramid is located at the exact center of the planet's landmass, dividing the world into practically equal quadrants. It is positioned at exactly 30 degrees north latitude, one of the most significant geometric coordinates on Earth. Each face of the pyramid is aligned with the cardinal points, north, south, east, and west, with a deviation of less than 1/10 of a degree. But the real bomb is in the Egyptian texts themselves, in the words they left etched in stone for eternity. The pyramid texts, the oldest religious writings of humanity, dating from around 2300 before Christ, are explicit about the connection between the pharaohs and Orion. Read this carefully. The dead king ascends to the heavens and transforms into Orion, joining Osiris in the stars. This is not poetic metaphor, this is navigation instruction. The texts describe a literal journey of the pharaoh's soul through the cosmos, crossing the celestial waters, the Milky Way, to reach the Duat, the realm of the dead that the Egyptians located specifically in Orion. They did not say that the soul went to an abstract concept of heaven. They said the soul flew to Orion. And here is the chilling detail. The text describes celestial boats, vessels that transported souls through the stellar void. Boats in space. 4,000 years ago. The Book of the Dead, another Egyptian sacred text, reinforces this connection even more directly. It describes Osiris as the one who descended from the stars to bring knowledge and civilization to primitive humans. Osiris taught agriculture, architecture, writing, mathematics, astronomy. He transformed nomadic tribes into one of the most advanced civilizations of antiquity, seemingly overnight. And when his mission was complete, he returned to Orion. Does that sound familiar? Because this is the exact pattern we see in dozens of ancient cultures around the world. Gods who come from the stars, bring impossible knowledge, and then return to the cosmos. The Egyptian priests maintained an incredibly precise stellar calendar based on the cycle of Sirius and Orion. They knew centuries in advance exactly when these stars would rise on the horizon on specific dates. They understood the precession of the equinoxes, the 26,000-year movement that causes the Earth's axis to wobble like a top, slowly changing the position of the stars in the sky over millennia. This knowledge requires thousands of years of continuous observation and accurate astronomical records. How could a civilization that supposedly emerged from nowhere in 3000 before Christ already possess this knowledge in its earliest texts? Let's talk about the physical impossibilities of the pyramid construction, because this is where the official story completely collapses. The Great Pyramid contains approximately 2,300,000 stone blocks. Each block weighs on average 2.5 tons. The blocks of the king's chamber are red granite and weigh up to 80 tons each. This granite came from Aswan, 800 kilometers away. How do you transport 80-ton blocks for 800 kilometers using only ropes and wooden sleds? How do you lift them to a height of over 60 meters and fit them together with millimeter precision? The official answer is ramps. They build giant earth ramps and drag the blocks up, right? Let's do the math. To lift blocks to the top of the pyramid with a manageable 10-degree incline, the ramp would need to be 1.5 kilometers long. The volume of material needed to build this ramp will be greater than the volume of the pyramid itself. And after finishing the construction, they would have to dismantle this gigantic ramp without leaving any archaeological trace. None. To this day, no evidence of ramps of this magnitude has been found at Giza. And the precision? The blocks of the Great Pyramid are fitted together with tolerances of less than half a millimeter. You cannot pass a sheet of paper between many of the blocks. The faces are so perfectly flat that modern engineers are impressed. The joints are so precise that even with current laser cutting technology, it would be a challenge to reproduce this perfection. And they did it with copper tools. Copper is a soft metal that deforms against hard stone like granite. Official science insists that they used copper drills and sand as an abrasive to cut granite. Modern experiments trying to replicate this technique take hours to make a small, superficial hole. But inside the Great Pyramid, we find evidence of drilling in granite with spiral grooves, indicating a penetration rate 500 times greater than what will be possible with copper tools. We found saw marks on gigantic granite blocks, saws that would have to have a blade of at least 3 meters. We found the King's Chamber, a room lined with 80-ton granite blocks, with a ceiling composed of 9 slabs, each weighing 50 tons, perfectly leveled and fitted. Now we come to the moment that ties all this together. In 1993, the German engineer Rudolf Gantenbrink sent a camera-equipped robot through the shafts of the Great Pyramid. What he discovered in the southern shaft of the Queen's Chamber shocked the archaeological world: a stone door with 2 copper handles, sealed since the pyramid's construction. In 2002, a camera was finally inserted through a small hole in this door. And on the other side, another door. Whatever the builders were protecting, it was important enough to be sealed behind multiple doors in the heart of the pyramid. But here is the revelation that will blow everything up. Those doors are in the tunnel that points directly to Sirius in the sky. And Sirius, in Egyptian mythology, is the portal, a stargate through which souls and gods traveled between Earth and Orion. The Egyptians were not building a tomb, they were building a machine. A machine whose purpose we still do not fully understand, but which clearly had an astronomical and possibly dimensional function. Think about it. All the pieces fit together. The perfect alignment with Orion. The shafts pointing to specific stars. The sealed doors in the heart of the structure. The impossible mathematical precision. The texts describing stellar travel. The millennial obsession with these specific constellations. The construction technology that defies explanation. The Egyptians were not worshipping random stars. They were maintaining contact with their origin. Osiris was not a myth. He was a memory. And here is the most disturbing thought of all. If the Egyptians received this knowledge from visitors from Orion 12,000 years ago, and if they built the pyramids as a beacon, as a marker, as a cosmic point of reference, then the pyramids are not pointing to the past. They are pointing to the future. They are an invitation. They are coordinates. They are telling someone out there in Orion, we are here, remember us, return to us. So where does this leave us? Conventional science will continue to insist that the pyramids are tombs built by megalomaniacal pharaohs using brute force and primitive tools. They will continue to ignore the mathematical impossibilities, the technological anomalies, the astronomical alignments, the explicit texts, because accepting the truth means completely rewriting the history of human civilization. It means admitting that we were not alone. It means accepting that our development as a species had external help. But the facts are there, written in stone, literally pointing to the stars. The connection between ancient Egypt and the Orion constellation is not theory. It is geometry. It is mathematics. It is architecture. It is astronomy. And above all, it is a message that has spanned millennia, waiting for us to be intelligent enough to decipher it. The real question is not whether the Egyptians had a connection with Orion. The real question is, do they still? And what happens when we finally fully comprehend the message the pyramids have been transmitting to the cosmos for over 4,000 years? Now I want to hear from you. After everything you have discovered here, do you still believe the official version of history? Do you think the pyramids are really just tombs? Or are you starting to see the obvious, that we are looking at the clearest evidence of extraterrestrial contact ever left on Earth? Leave your craziest theory in the comments. I read them all. And if you want to continue discovering truths that official history hides, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell, because the next revelation will be even more shocking. And don't forget to watch our video about the Anunnaki and the genetic manipulation of humanity, because all of this is connected in ways you can't even imagine. The truth is out there. It always has been, written in the stars and etched in stone. The question is, are you ready to see it?